Welcome, everyone, to Mindful Selling, if Buddha were a salesperson. I'm Jonathan London, your host. A little bit about my background. If you haven't heard it before, I've been in sales for 40 years. I've had a meditation practice for 40 years. As Woody Allen would say in one of his movies, I'm almost able to eat without a bib with all that experience. But in a more serious vein, I have been the number one salesperson or sales leader in every company I ever worked for. And that was either company wide or industry wide, because we would be the leading company in the industry that and the mindfulness practice has been something with me since I was 21. I would say the last 5 years has been much more intense. Learned a lot of things about how I am, my tendencies, um, just as much as how as I can be when I'm selling. I'm not Buddha. I only use that for the title. Um, but I have enough knowledge, I think, of meditation and mindfulness to integrate into this podcast. Now, the podcast is going to be three parts. It's going to be a strategic aspect, it's going to be a tactical aspect, and then it's going to be a quote unquote Buddhist aspect. And you can pick and choose all of them. You can pick and choose the one you want. So I'm hoping it allows you to get more out of being with me. So before we start, what I'd like to do is start with a 90-second meditation. And in order to do that, I'd like you to just close your put things away, meaning put your phone away or close the screen on your laptop for the next 90 seconds. Not so much that you can't hear me. Um, and let's start by just taking a couple of deep breaths, and as deep as you can on the in breath and slow, slow, slow on the out breath. If you want to do that again, that would be great. Now, if you're in a place where you can, just see if you can close your eyes gently. Put your hands on your laps, however you want, palms up, palms down, hands in each other, and just gently close your eyes and start feeling the weight of your body in the chair you're sitting in, not thinking about it, feeling gravity. Pick a part of your body where maybe you feel a sensation and take a deep breath into that, and then take a slow breath out of that. See if you can loosen it up a little bit. Now I'd like you to bring your attention to your breathing body, and you can focus on the air coming in and out of your nose or your mouth. You can feel your chest going up or down and your stomach in or out. Pick one of those and just focus on the breathing. Don't worry that you have thoughts. Just if thoughts arise, just let them go away. Come back to the breath. You relax on the exhale. If another thought comes up, don't get frustrated. Just see it as it is and then let it go. Let's do this 3 more times with our breath. Breathe in. Focus on the breath where it's most pronounced. Breathe out. Breathe in. Slow exhalation. And then finally, your third breath. Exhalation. slow and easy. And then slowly open your eyes if you had closed them and come back into the session. And we're going to try to do that every week because we want to have you have a feeling of presence of what it means and what it looks like. And how it can change the way you are with things or with people, no matter what your frame of mind was. So today is a meeting about the first meeting. However, you've gotten the opportunity to meet with somebody. Could be the decision maker, could be somebody who's in charge of the project, could be an individual who's just looking for him or herself. And whether you're meeting in person or over Zoom or really over just the phone, we want to give you a process that you can lean on to have this meeting go really well. So, with that in mind, I'm going to introduce you to something called the S.PRI.N.G dialogue. And let me tell you what it stands for. S.PRI.N.G dialogue stands for situation start, that's the S. So that's the beginning of the interaction. And you guys must be good at this, just saying hello, thank you for the time and the meeting. If you've done some research, maybe bringing it up and asking the person about it or something in their office. If you can see they like showing things, make them feel good by paying attention to what they have. The other thing about this is you start to get a sense if the person's a serious person or a person who goes a little lighter, has a sense of humor, um, just by asking them some simple questions. The next part of the S.PRI.N.G dialogue, which is PRI, stands for priorities. And priorities are just a word I use to try to understand what the most important things are to the person that you're speaking with in relation to why they called you. So you could say like, hello, Mr. So-and-so, I appreciate that you called. Just curious what prompted the call. Usually people have 2 or 3 things that they want to accomplish, if not more, by looking into uh, technology like ours. And I was just wondering if you could share with me what your priorities are, so I can have a conversation and share with you what we do. Or it'd be simple. Can say, Mr. So can you tell me what your 3 most important things are in relation to this, bringing in this type of capability? Or even simpler, can you tell me the top 2 or 3 most important things you're looking to do? And then if you feel comfortable doing it, you can just ask them to rank them. So are those in order of importance, what you told me, or is one more important than the other? And then just start asking them questions. What is it about this that makes it so important? Why now? What are your thoughts about how things should be working differently or how things would look if this were addressed? And you'll start seeing that people start talking and they start bringing all their priorities into one. But if not, then you discreetly ask them about their second or third priority. Because again, those are the reasons that people will buy something. It's what's most important to them. The N stands for needs. So some people say, well, needs are priorities, aren't they? Yeah, but in my parlance, in my structure, needs is pretty much what do they need to be successful? And simultaneously, it's also what do you, salesperson, need to know to understand if this is a good opportunity for you. So this is where you ask them questions about um, technological needs, of other things that haven't been mentioned already, where you ask them if they can paint a picture of what they would need to be successful from a service and support perspective. You can start asking them about time frame and decision-making process and criteria for the decision. That's what you need to know. But I would lay low on those. I don't want you to pressure the customer. Most important thing in your first meeting is you make a good impression, and you can find that out along the way. So that's what needs are. Um, and again, Mr. So other than the things we discussed, what else would you like, or do you need to address these priorities that you've shared with me? And the other thing you can do is you can plant seeds. So during the conversation, you can say, well, have you thought about this? And what you're asking them to think about is something that you can do in relation to their requirements. Or you can say, Mr. So we have something called that does this. Does that sound like something that could be useful for you? So you're peppering the conversation with things that you can do, but not in a formal presentation way. And then the last question, which is often the most difficult, is the G stands for gain. What do they gain professionally and personally? Um, if you don't feel comfortable asking it, you shouldn't. If you want to give it a try, you can say something like, so if everything goes well, whether you go with us or not, what does it mean to you professionally? How does that help you in your position as, or what does that look like for you in the company? And then if you get a sense that you can ask personally, you can say, well, and if you don't mind me asking, because I think this might be one of the most important questions I ask is, how does it help you? What do you hope to gain from doing an implementation like this? And no, usually you'll get answers, well, I just want to do my job, or I just want to do a good project, or, um, but I've gotten answers like, well, I want to make a lot of money. I want to get promoted. Um, I want to take my boss's job. Uh, I want to go into the C-level suite of executives, um, things like that. No matter what they say, you just say, thank you. I appreciate that. And you can either ask some clarifying questions or you can go into your formal pitch. So some of the things you can do from a strategic perspective is see if you have any customers of a similar um, ilk as the one you're seeing, or see if you have applications. You can go do some Google searching, see what the latest and greatest is, or go to their websites. So you can be prepared and again, show them that you know about their company. You might go into the site if they're, say, a chief sales officer. You might go into the CSO website and see what CSOs care about these days. Um, you might go into his or her LinkedIn. So there are some strategic things you can do to be prepared. Um, the process of interviewing is what I just shared. And then the other thing I would say is try to get a read early on about what their DISC style is. DISC is an acronym that stands for dominant, influential, steadfast, or conscientious. Um, Dominant and influential people move at a faster pace. The difference is the dominant person's a little bit more serious and a little bit more dominant, where the influential personality is, more I don't want to say playful, but more lighthearted and more descriptive. It uses a lot of words to describe things. And the S and the C are both slow paced than the D and I. So the S stands for steadfast, and they're very methodical. So they like to know how things are done, the how of things, how it will be implemented. Um, they're most concerned about safety, security, stability. And the C person stands for, and by the way, the S's are very nice, very warm people. And the C's stands for conscientious or really analytical. And they're also slow paced and they're quieter. And they might be nice people, but they're not as friendly or warm as the S or the I. And they tend to dig in and ask exacting questions because they're looking for perfection. So fast paced is the D or the I, slower paced is the S or the C, and serious or friendly. And then you'll be able to get a beat on who you're talking to. And then the only reason that's important is that you want to try to adjust your pace to their pace. So, I'm a dominant, influential New Yorker, and I have too many stories to share about how I've turned people off um, from the South. Uh, they were slower paced. They more friendly. They're the formality of their meetings is get to know a little bit about you before you get serious, and I would just misread them. So fortunately, in important cases, I got a chance to redo myself, and I did, and it worked. But um, you don't want to count on that. So some strategic things you can do to get ready for a meeting. Um, Tactically, use the spring dialogue, and then mindfulness and meditation. How does that relate to everything we've been talking about? Well, Buddhism has a saying that suffering comes from craving, from wanting something too much. Not that you don't want things, of course you want things. You want to win the deal, you want to make money to buy things, take care of your family, or whatever you're going to do the money for. But you don't you don't want it so intensely that it makes you rigid or gets in the way of you being more adaptable and flexible to the situation. You want to be as relaxed as you can and strong, relaxed and confident, but you don't want to you want to make the prospect feel as comfortable as possible so that they open up to you. So one thing to do is be aware of what intensity you're bringing. And what I mean by that is the tone of your voice or the urgency of what you're asking or the intensity of it. And a way to do that is to realize that things are impermanent. It's another important part of Buddhism is that anything that's created or born passes away and dies. So why is impermanence important when you're first meeting with somebody? Well, first of all, it's not going to be the only opportunity you have, hopefully. And things can change, things will change. So knowing that things can or will change keeps you on your toes, whether you're in a good position or a bad position to win your deal. So a few things you can do um, is you can do a 90-second meditation before you meet somebody. Um, you can remind yourself of some questions that might have them have a more relaxed feeling. might remind them of their own soul. Um, and the other thing about Buddhism is something called beginner's mind, which is coming into something as if you don't know anything, but you're really curious to find out. Now, as I've said, you want to pepper the conversation with things that you know. You want to do research, but your curiosity level is very high. So you want to ask questions that they would find interesting to be asked and you would find interesting to be answered. All right. So that's a good way of integrating some basic tenets of Buddhism with your approach to anything and everything, but to the spring dialogue. Uh, you can also ask, be polite and tell people that you're appreciative of them, the time that they're giving you, or you can compliment them on the thoughtfulness of their answers. Uh, you can try to take a position where it's not you selling and them buying, it's that you're together. You're on the same team. His role is to buy or her role to buy, yours is to sell. But the combination of the two is what causes the best result to happen. So it's a collaboration versus a me, you, or I'm separate from you. No, in this scenario, we're all the same. I'm just playing a different role than you are. And you can even say things like, Mr. So-and-so, I know I'm a salesperson and you think I'm going to try to sell you, but I'm not. Really, what I want to do is play the proper role here by asking questions and then helping you formulate what you want to do best, and certainly to give me information so I can see if my offering is the right one for you. Now, people might think it's a con or and I come off self-Pollyannish, but you can try it. So, what's your responsibility? Between now and next week, have a meeting. And if you can't have a meeting, make up one that you would have and do a role play maybe with one of your coworkers or a friend and record it and try to follow the spring process and try to bring some mindfulness and meditation and ease into the process and see how it comes out. And don't worry if it doesn't come out perfectly. Just see if the tone you're setting, the environment you're setting is inviting for the person that you're talking to or the persons you're talking to. And then if you have questions along the way, here's my email. Um, and maybe we'll do a little review next week before we begin the next subject. So until then, good health, good selling, and live with ease. Thank you.